Good morning. Today I will present my final project entitled Social Class and Class Discrimination in Catherine Mansfield's Start Story, The Dull Sauce, a Marxist study. Chapter 1 Introduction. The first one is background of the study. In society, wealth is the most powerful part to get power in life. One simple fact that is clearly seen is increasingly boundaries between the rich and the poor, which were then called social class. The issues of social class become the main topic of discussion of this study. Social class happens because of the injustice like class distinction that exists in the society. The dollhouse contains social problems. Short story The Dollhouse depicts a social condition in which lower society is oppressed by upper society. The lower society is the people who have to live and have to work to survive in society. Statements on the problem. First, what social class in capitalist society is portrayed in Catherine Mansfield's short story The Dollhouse? Second, what is the act of social discrimination found in Catherine Mansfield's natal South? Third is objective of the study. This research is aimed to analyze social discrimination that can be found in the story. Second, to describe the social class in capitalist society portrayed in Catherine Mansfield's short stories The Dull South. Fourth, scope of the study. This research focuses to find out social class and social discrimination represented by the characters in the short stories by using Karl Marx theory. In this short story, social class and class distinction are described as the same as social issues in society where upper class people are capable to control everything. This final project tries to understand more about social class and class discrimination through this short story. 5 is significance of the study. The result of this research is expected to be useful reference about social discrimination in capitalist society. Another contribution of this research is to help readers to know more about Marxist theory. 6 is approach to the study. This approach by using the Marxist theory by Karl Marx. The data of this research is the short stories The Dull Sauce by Catherine Mansfield. In this study, the data collection technique used is close reading. After that, the researcher will classify the data based on the social class and the social discrimination. Descriptive analysis is the way taken by researchers to analyze the data. 7 is organization of the paper. In Chapter 1, the writer of the study will explain the introduction of the study. In Chapter 2, consists of two sub-chapters which explain the synopsis of the short story and its writer biographies. In Chapter 3, the writer will explain review of related literature. In Chapter 4, there is findings and discussion. Chapter 5, the writer will explain about conclusion and suggestion. Chapter 2, Synopsis and the author's biography. Chapter 3, Review of Literature. 3.1 Previous research. The research is by Okawa Yuprayuda in his analysis entitled Class Conflict Analysis in Step-Up Revolution film by using Marxism literary criticism. His thesis research is focused on to observe social classes between bourgeois and proletariat. He focused on three research questions. His research focuses on the social class conflict, and class struggle between bourgeois and proletariat. To answer the research question, his study applies Marxism theory. The result of his research is there are two main characters that represent each social class. 3.2 Definition literature. Literature is a creation of words. It comes from minds or feelings about life and the world. These kinds of opinions, it can be said that literature is a way of on how to tell of feelings or idea through a work of writing about humans' life and world. It concludes that literature is the picture of life. In addition, when mentioned literature, it is created a creation that what people call literary works. 3.3 Short story. Keegan defines short story as a narrative with more than thousands words or below than 500 words. Mostly it contains 1,500 till 5,000 words in a single narrative. The content in a single text of short story are beginning, middle, and ending. 3.4 Character. Abrams said that character is a person presented in dramatics of writing work. It is interpreted by reader as being blessed with moral and dispositional qualities that are expressed in what they say and what they do in action. 3.5 Setting. Setting contains many points including time, location, and social conditions related to the world story. 3.6 Social class. Mark in Buttermore said that classes divided into two classes in capitalist society in his theory. The first one is bourgeois. Bourgeois is those who own the power and the means of production, which involve ownership of such things as land, factories, financial institutions, and the like. And proletariat. A class is defined by the material position. According to Karl Marx, he gave the importance meaning to the socio-economic class. 3.7 Social discrimination. Dean stated a startup is an exaggerated generalization about an entire category of people that doesn't admit individual variation. Stereotypes create the basis for prejudice and discrimination. They generally involve members of one group that deny access to changes and rewards that are available to that group. Some group thinks that they are superior to the other groups so they can control them. Chapter 4 Findings Discussion 4.1 Social class in capital society portrayed in Catherine Maxfield's short story in the Dull Sauce. In this chapter, the writer exposed many evidences to prove the existence of bourgeois and proletariat. Here are the some evidences that prove the existence of bourgeois. Here are some evidences that prove the existence of proletariat in the short stories. The second of statement of the problem is the act of social discrimination found in Catherine Mansfield's The Doll is Us. In this chapter, the writer also found some evidences that support the existence of social discrimination that mostly faced by the Galvez family. Chapter 5, Conclusion and Suggestion. 5.1, Conclusion. The first is social class. The writer concludes that there are two social classes, which is bourgeois and proletariat. Bourgeois is the highest people in society because it based on material position and wealth. They are Brunner family, including Isabel, Lottie, and Kezia. For the proletariat is the group who are vulnerable to be controlled and they have limits for what they can do. They are as the lower class of the society because of economic and they always get unfair act. They are Calvin's children. 2. Social discrimination. Burners' family prejudice to Calvins because they are not belong to the same class. Everyone wanted to be friends with Burners' children instead of having friends with the poor. And the poor means the Calvins. 5.2 Suggestions. Based on the discussion that the writer have found from the short story, there is an issue which can be observed besides social class and class discrimination. The writer realized that people in both classes have some consciousness in the dollhouse short story. It can be applied with class consciousness theory. For further research, the writer suggests further researchers to learn more about the theory. Yeah, I think that's enough for the whole presentation of my final project. Thank you.